Good afternoon, class. I hope everybody's doing fantastic. My name is Alvaro Leal, and I'm your Wayland Baptist University Advanced Computer Applications professor. And today we're doing lesson number 4. Lesson number 4 is all about deciding what printer to buy. And it's very tricky. Now, some of you might think, oh, let's go to Staples and buy a printer, right? And you find a sale, a printer for $29. And you think, wow, this is going to be so cheap. It's so good, right? But buying a cheap printer has its pitfalls. Some of you already know this. Today, we're going to explore what happens when you buy a cheap $29 printer, okay? It has its little caveats. Now, if you buy a $370 laser printer, you will notice that it's a better decision, a wiser choice, and we will see why. Okay? So, as always, go ahead and watch the video. I will have a tutorial at the end of the video because I know some of you are struggling a bit, so I'm going to help you out. So watch the video, pay close attention, and then at the end, I'll get back with you to look at the spreadsheet. And then once you're done, we'll talk about it. Okay, let's go ahead and roll the video.
Welcome to Excel Problem Solvers. So Susan and Tim both would like to buy a new printer. Susan says, would you help me pick one of these 3 printers? I plan to print about 15 pages each day. So that's 5 days per week. I want the total cost to be as low as possible. I expect the printer to last 2 years. You'll see that the Epsilon printer is only $29, and so you might think that is the best price at the beginning. Until you look at the supplies, and you'll see that ink is $40 a cartridge, and it will add up quite a bit. Tim, on the other hand, has a different request. He said, I'm Tim, would you help me pick one of these 3 printers? I plan to print about 500 pages each day. And so his printer will probably be different than Susan's. Let's look at the fine print. First of all, you'll notice that each cartridge on the Epsilon will only print 200 sheets, while at the other end, the Zero printer will print 11,000 pages for a cartridge. And so the initial price on the printer, even though it's high, may end up being less expensive per page. Here's a suggestion for how to set up your spreadsheet. We'll do columns B, C, and D for each of the printers. We'll put in a line for their initial purchase price, and then we'll put the yellow section for the cost of their print per page. And that's important because even though inkjet cartridges are less than laserjet cartridges, they don't print nearly as many pages. And then for each of these people, we'll have to compute their expected pages per day. So Susan is only expecting 15 per day. This is the number that she will actually print per year, and so you'll need a formula to calculate that number. Once we know the pages per year, we can estimate how much it will cost per year because we have and then the total printing cost will come here at the bottom. The total printing cost added to the initial purchase cost will give you the actual cost for the 2 years of Epsilon. And so your job is to figure out some of the formulas that would make these numbers make sense. Once you're done, you will highlight the final result and you will create a chart that will show the differences in each of these printers. Similar to the other problems, we're going to have a section for Susan, and then we'll copy the information to the right side, and we will compute Tim's numbers. And so you should have 2 charts when you're done, and find out what the recommendation is for each of these people. Welcome to the lab.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So it's a basic problem of trying to figure out the cost per printer, right? So let's go ahead and go to our Excel spreadsheet. And notice that I started off here. We have Susan, the first printer, the second printer, the third printer. So Epsilon, HB, and Zero. And then the purchase cost, well, it was just $29 for the Epsilon, $149 for HB, $549 for Zero. All right, and then cost per set of cartridges is $40 for Epsilon, $90 for HB, $370 for 0. And then the pages cartridges can print. So this one can only print 200 pages. This one can print 1,000, and this one can print 11,000. So let's figure out the cost per page. So we're going to do equals sum, and then we're going to do the first number, this one, divided by this number. And then we close the parentheses and press enter. So it's costing 20 cents per page. And then I'm going to grab this corner and I'm going to just drag it to the right, and it should fill the same math for these for this column. So this one costs 20 cents per page. This one costs 9 cents per page. This one costs 3 cents per page. All right, on the second block, it says expected pages per day. So she's going to be printing 15 pages per day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. So this would have to be equals sum. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first one times the second one times the third one. And close the parentheses and press enter. So there's 3,750 pages in 1 year. And all I'm going to do is grab it and go to the right. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and use that same number that's up there. So I'm just going to go equals B12. Okay. That's it. And so all I'm doing is just grabbing this number and putting it there again. And then I'm going to just add it over here. Okay, now printing cost per year, that would be equals sum, and I'm going to just multiply 3,750 times the cost per page. Does that make sense? And so the total cost is $750 per year because it's 20 cents per page. You're printing 3,750. That's going to be your 750, okay? And so I'm going to grab this and I'm going to just go to the right, and it's going to fill in the other ones, okay? Now, I'm going to do it for 2 years. So this printing cost is going to equal sum, and I'm going to do this times this. Oops. And I'm going to close it, and it should be double, right? It should be double that. If we grab this, go to the right, it should fill the rest of them. So the printing cost for epsilon is going to be 1,500. The printing cost for HB is going to be 675, and the printing cost for 0 is $252.27. Okay, now what about the total cost? Well, the total cost has to equal to sum, and it has to be the original price of the printer plus the printing cost. Does that make sense? And so the total cost is for epsilon for 2 years is going to be 1,529. And if I grab this and go to the right, I will notice that it's 824 for HB and 801 for 0. Okay, so if I'm going to be if Susan wants to print 15 pages every day for 2 years, it means that you better buy the laser printer because it's going to be almost half as expensive as that cheap $29 printer. Okay? Cheap in quotation marks, right? It's not cheap. All right, now let's go ahead and insert a bar chart. So we're going to highlight all of these fields. We're going to go to insert, and then we're going to do recommended charts. And then we should get... where is it? Over here on the right side. We should get the first one, the bar charts. So insert charts. And the only thing I'm going to change is this field. I'm going to go ahead and change it to Susan. And I'm going to go ahead and make it red just so that it's the same color as Susan. I'll bold it. I'll make it a little bigger, like 14. So that's it. Okay, so we're done. And then we grab the chart and put it underneath somewhere here. All right, so that takes care of Susan. What about Tim? Well, for Tim, all I'm gonna do is grab this whole thing right here, and I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna move it a little bit to the right to column F. I'm gonna go Control V. So I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna make this a little bigger, this bigger, this bigger, and this a little bigger. Okay. So notice that we just copied and pasted the whole thing, right? Maybe make it bigger. Okay, so that it looks good. So now, but we don't want Susan on the second one. We want Tim. So I'm gonna type in Tim. I'm gonna change his. Oops. I'm gonna change his color. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put a different color for Tim. Go home, and I'm gonna go ahead and go with blue for Tim, just to change it up. Okay. All right. Now notice the cost, the purchase of the printers is the same. The cost of the cartridges is the same. The number of pages is the same. The cost per page is the same. But Tim is printing 500 pages every day. So we have to modify all of these fields. You see what's going on? So he's going to have a total of 125,000 pages printed in 1 year. All right. That's going to be a lot of pages. So now look at the cost to print 125,000. That's $25,000 for the cheap printer, and 11,000 for the middle printer, and 4,000 for the laser printer. And then the total printing cost for 2 years is going to be 50,000, and the total printing cost for this one is going to be 22,000, and the total printing cost here is going to be 8,409 with 9 cents. And then this one would be adding the $29. This one would be adding the 149, and this one would be adding the 549. So this would be the total cost for Tim if you were to print the Epsilon printer. So now, do your eyes show you the truth? It's cheaper to buy the expensive laser printer than the cheap $29 printer. Look at that. It would cost him $50,000 to print 500 pages a day for 2 years. And it would only cost him 8,900 to print 500 pages for 2 years. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the chart. Also, let's go insert. Let's do recommended charts. Let's pick the first one. And again, we're only going to change one field, right? This field down here, we're going to change it to Tim. Okay? Change it to Tim. All right. And you're done. I mean, you can change the color if you want to. But that's it, guys. I hope you can do this quickly. Make sure that when I check for these things, they better have the formulas. You see sum equals G3 plus G18. If they don't have the formulas, then you're just copying the numbers, and you're not going to get a good grade. So make sure that each field has their respective formulas, right? It's very important. These have to have their respective formulas. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. We will see you next time. Bye bye.